In this video, we're reading This Could Be Us, which is the second book after Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, which was a 5-star read for me. And this book is on a high pedestal, so we'll see if it lives up to my expectations. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe because there's new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and let's get into this. It feels like an actual dream come true that I actually have this book in my hand. If you guys have been following me on Instagram or TikTok, you saw me unbox this on there, and I literally screamed. Like, I'm not kidding, I actually screamed. I didn't even know that it was for sure coming. Like, if someone tells me they're gonna send me something, until it is in my hand, I don't believe them. If you guys don't know what this book is, this is an ARC, and it is an advanced reader copy. That's what an ARC means. And I was waiting for the physical copy because I just needed to read this in physical form. So this whole video is gonna be me reading this book. There will be no spoilers, but I read Before I Let Go early last year. It was like one of the first books that I read of the year, and I rated it 5 stars. Literally sobbed my eyes out reading it, and it is the second book to this one. So I'm really excited to read it. There will, again, be no spoilers in this, so you guys don't have to worry if you haven't gotten an advanced reader copy and you're excited for the second book to come out. I want you guys to like get excited with me, so we're gonna read it together. But yeah, this first one just gives me all the feels even looking at it. If you haven't read the first book, the pretty much quick update of the first one is that it's about a woman who ends up getting divorced from her husband, and you just see her like co-parenting in the book, but she kind of starts to have feelings for her ex-husband. So you see that whole progression, and in that story, there are 2 of her best friends, Soledad, who is in this book, and you kind of get like a little bits and pieces of her life. Like, you learn that she is in a marriage, but they kind of have like some trials, and she also is a mother, which you can see in the first book that it takes a lot of her time, obviously, being a mother. And that's really all that you get from her. Like, you don't really get much else. So I cannot wait to get into her story. She is probably the like most anticipated story that I've wanted. There's another friend in the group, but I wasn't sure which like storyline that Kennedy Ryan was gonna go with, whether she would go with the other friend or with Soledad's story, and she decided to go with Soledad's story as the second story. So I cannot wait to read this. On the back of it, it says from Tia Williams that it's addictively delicious, and it also says from Colleen Hoover, it's real, raw, and magnificent. It also says from USA Today, it's a powerhouse, that Kennedy Ryan is a powerhouse of a writer, and NPR says that Ryan is a fantastic storyteller and superb writer. And on the front, it says from Emily Henry, heart-searing, sensual, and life-affirming. So all of these things make me realize that this is going to be an incredible book. It goes on sale March 5th of 2024, so you guys can pick it up then. And she also is doing like a tour, so you guys can have her sign your books. I'm going to try to go to one of her tour dates that's near me, but she is like already selling out because like people are so obsessed with her writing. So anyway, let's get into reading this. I think I'm gonna go outside and read for a little bit out there as the sun is setting, because you guys know that's my vibe. I just love like reading at sunset, and I cannot wait to get into this. I cannot believe that this is in my hand. It's just like literally so wild. It's like not even funny because it is very cold outside. There's actually snow on the ground right now, but you guys know how I am. I like to get outside even when it is cold. I did not realize, well, I think I kind of knew that this story is about a mom, and in the author's note it shares that she is going to talk about a child who is autistic, which I feel like you don't see that very often in books. So I'm really excited to see that representation because, again, you don't see that very often. But literally as I opened this book, in the author's note, it said that there's also mention of a parent's death in this book. And guys, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I don't know if I have the mental capacity to like read this. Like, it says that it doesn't talk about it, like it doesn't happen in the book, but it is mentioned. And I don't know if it's like one of those things where if you own a specific car and then like, or you like buy a car and then after you buy that car, you see everyone with that car everywhere. I don't know if it's like that with me in books, but I swear every book I've been reading is talking about death. I don't know if this is God's way of just being like, okay, this is your time to work through your own grief with your own grief with the passing of your dad. Because if you guys are new here, my dad passed away in I think the last day of October, which has been still very hard for me to just like navigate through. But I swear every book that I picked up, like I won't even know that that's like what they're going to talk about, and they're like talking about that in it. So it'll be interesting to like go through this and give you guys my thoughts on it. But I am very bundled up. I have a scarf, I have my coat, I still am wearing the dress that I had on, but I also put a crew neck over top of it, and then I have blankets on top of me too. So we're nice and cozy out here and watching the sunset while we read. Feels so good to be back in this world again. I didn't really know if I would like feel different like being back in this world, because the book that I read before I let go was the first book by Kennedy Ryan I ever read. And after that I read Flow, and then I also read Long Shot. So I've read other books by her, and I feel like I've missed these characters. Like getting back into this world makes me feel so happy. I do think that if you've never read Before I Let Go, you should definitely read that book first, because I don't know if this is supposed to be like a standalone or not, but obviously it's part of a series. And I do think that like knowing the backstory of Soledad really gives a lot of perspective into like her family dynamic and her marriage and stuff. And I feel like you really need that, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, have we gotten anywhere? Like, so it's making me more annoyed, like being on page, I'm only on page 14, so I'm not super far into it, but it's just like seeing her family dynamic and seeing things as they are in this book and having all the perspective from the last book. It's just making me even more like empathetic for her, which I feel like in the first book we all felt very empathetic for her and like her life and stuff. Don't worry, there's gonna be like no spoilers in this video, but I definitely wanna like share how I'm feeling as I'm reading this book, which I feel like most of you guys are fine with that. I also feel like Kennedy Ryan does such a good job of writing books as if you're watching a movie. Like such a good job. As I'm reading this, I feel like I'm watching these characters do these things. There's one point in the book where she's like referencing how well you like know your partner in marriage, and it says that they've been married for 16 years and together for 18 years, and like even the twitch of an eye, like she can literally pinpoint like him down to like the twitch of an eye, just like knowing that he is feeling like some type of way, or he's like annoyed or mad or happy or sad or whatever. And I feel like that is such a perfect demonstration of like what marriage is like, because when you're with someone for so long, like Brady and I have been together since 2012, so that is 12 years, and like we got together when I was 19. Like I'm 31 and I know that man like the back of my hand, and he knows me in the same way. Like sometimes I feel like he knows me almost better than I know myself. And like I feel like Kennedy Ryan writes marriages so perfectly, because in Before I Let Go, the characters get divorced, but they still have that like they're kind of starting to have like feelings for each other. Like that's kind of like what the first book is about, if you haven't read it. And so they still have that like connectedness that you would have even if you like aren't married, because even if you're divorced, you still work together for a long time. You know what I mean? So as I'm reading this, I'm literally just feeling like I'm watching a movie. It is giving like I know, I don't know if you guys know this, but Before I Let Go, I think is actually going to be a TV series. She like announced it on her Instagram, I think early last year or something. And I cannot wait to watch it. But I also feel like this, and I'm only 14 pages in, but this needs to be a TV series. Also, I can almost always tell if a book is gonna be a 5-star read by 50 pages. Like, it is usually by 100 pages, I can tell if I like a book or not, like if it's gonna be 4 stars or not. If I don't like a book before 100 pages, usually it's not gonna be 4 stars. If I like it before 100 pages, almost always it ends up being 4 stars or higher. And then if I am obsessed with the book before 50 pages, it's almost always 5 stars. Like, almost always. I wouldn't say every single time, but almost always. So I'll definitely keep that in mind as I'm reading. Granted, I'm only on page 14, but I'm eating up every single bit of this book. And I feel like I'm gonna finish this one really fast. This book. So I got about 50 pages into this last night. I was definitely planning on reading longer, but I ended up like doing laundry and like all the things. I feel like my Mondays, I really try to do like a really good reset where I finish everything, which I did not finish everything yesterday. And I feel like I'm a little hard on myself sometimes when I don't get things done, because I know myself, and if things pile up, I get so stressed and overwhelmed. So I've been really trying not to let things pile up this year, like one being laundry. So with that, I knew to do my laundry, I had to also like organize my closet. And if you guys like don't know, we live in a renovation. We've like been renovating our house for a while now, and we feel so grateful to live on the lake. Like all the like videos that you guys see whenever I'm sitting on the dock, that's literally in our backyard. Like, I am looking at water right now. But with that comes like, you know, having to live in a house that constantly needs things to be like updated and stuff. And we've done most of it, but our closet is not done. So there's a lot of organization that needs to be done in there, and I try to keep it very organized because it's not done. So anyway, I was working on that yesterday, and I read 50 pages, really loved the book so much. And it was the first time that I have actually read a book and like didn't want to go to sleep. Like, I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to read, and literally last night after I got in from like sitting on the dock, I did like a little bit more organizing and cleaning and stuff, and I got in bed and I started reading, and I was like nodding off, because normally I go to sleep between like 9:30 and 10 because I wake up at 5. And as I was nodding off, I was like, no, I want to stay awake because I want to read. And that is very rare. And then I just had to remind myself, like, literally go to sleep because you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to read. So yeah, that's what I did this morning. I woke up, and you know what I did? I didn't read. I also have been getting into this bad habit of when I wake up at 5 a.m., which is supposed to be a time for reading and like reading only, I wake up and do work from 5 a.m. until like 8 o'clock when my job literally starts. And I'm always like, oh, well, if I get this out of the way, like maybe I can like finish work a little bit early and like read. No, that literally never happens because there's always something to do. So I want to remind you, if you're the type of person who's like always on the move, go, you like put work first and all the things, you deserve to rest. And I'm not just saying that in a sense of like, oh, like take like 10 minutes for yourself. Like, no, you deserve to rest as much as you are working, or if not more, because you need to like refuel yourself so that like whenever you are working, you actually have the energy to like do what you know you need to do. So anyway, I also want to say that to all the moms, even if you're not like working a traditional job, being a stay-at-home mom is a job, and it's so easy to like be like, oh, I'm gonna do the laundry, and then like, you know, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And like, my mom was a stay-at-home mom for years, and I saw how much she like did, which was incredible. She was like canning, and like we had vegetables in the backyard and chickens, we had horses, like we had all these things. And I know that they wanted to give us a life where we could see like the fruits of our own labor. But you need to sit down. Like, you also need to sit down. Like, I don't know, there's never a balance as humans that we can like actually get to that is attainable where you're gonna be able to do every goal that you have for your job and also relax. Like you're gonna have to like let go of one sometimes, and I feel like the thing that we usually let go of is our own rest and relaxation. So I wanna remind you, you need to rest. And I'm telling myself that mostly because I want to finish this book tomorrow, but I have a very, very busy day tomorrow. So I'm gonna try to get like a lot read today because like I'm itching to read this. Obviously you guys see I'm on my lunch break, and so I'm making food, which is actually very rare for my lunch break because usually I will just like throw something together, but I've been trying to get a lot of protein and eat a lot like of food that's gonna sustain me. And one thing for me, I like do heavy lifting and stuff. I think I told you guys this. And whenever I'm lifting, I get done working out and I'm hungry, like hungry. And if you guys are not following me on Instagram, you probably didn't see on my stories, but I actually shared like what I got at the grocery store. I shared a little grocery haul over there. Make sure you're following me on Instagram because I feel like you can see a lot of those things. But anyway, I get like so hungry, and so I'm making a little salad and I'm just putting some smoked sausage in the salad along with, I don't know if it's gonna taste good or not, but I think I'm gonna put some fruit in it. We'll see how it actually tastes. If it doesn't taste good, I think I'm gonna just try like one piece with a bite of salad and like one bite of fruit. If it doesn't taste good, I think I'm gonna put just like tomatoes, onions, and things like that instead. But normally I like to put fruit, and then I'll use this poppy seed dressing and then some salad. Anyway, we are gonna sit down and have a little chat about this book and like how I feel so far. Also, I have a little book haul that I want to show you guys. I guess I can show you guys that while that's on the stove. Before we get into the book haul, I want to tell you guys why I think that the book is going to be a 5-star read. Now, do I know for sure whether it's going to be a 5-star read? I'm not 100%, but I said yesterday that when a book gets to 50 pages, I can almost always tell when it's going to be a 5-star read. Let me tell you why I think it's gonna be a 5-star read, okay? It could not be. It definitely could not be, but this is, I feel like it's going to be. So right off the bat, you are put into a lot. Like there's a lot going on. There's 2 point of views, which is really interesting. I feel like if there's one point of view, sometimes I get a little bored depending, it doesn't really matter who the author is. Like sometimes I just get a tad bored. 2 point of views, okay, I'm locked in. And there is so much going on in this story on the side, outside of the romance, and that I think is what is really driving a large part of the story. So like I'm eating it up. I'm like, I don't want to put it down. I want to see what happens next. And I think that those are the best types of romances where things are happening. I also am really enjoying just like the dialogue. And you guys know I'm a big dialogue girl, and I feel like people will resonate with this so much if you've ever been in like a bad relationship that you are just like, I shouldn't be with this person, but it's hard to, or it's easy to give this person grace. I feel like this book is encapsulating that so well. And I also think that Kennedy Ryan just like knows how to connect a bunch of different things in a story. So there is a disability aspect in this story that I think is really cool. You have, I don't know if this is on the back, so I don't want to spoil anything, but you have that, and then you also have a work dynamic where there's a lot going on in like the work sphere. And so if you're like someone who's a corporate girly, I feel like you will be able to connect to pieces of that. And then obviously there's the romance. Then there are the friends who really feel like family, who are also in this book. And then there is the aspect, and granted I'm only 50 pages in, but there's the aspect and theme that I feel like is gonna be all throughout the book of Soledad, who is like learning to just like stand freaking tall and like just, I don't know, have some backbone, for lack of a better word. So that already is making me so freaking intrigued, and I feel like by the end of this book she's gonna have a lot of growth. I can't say for sure, but I feel like as I'm reading it, she's picking up on things like, I don't like this, I don't like that, like, I don't know, I'm only 50 pages in, but it's feeling like a 5-star read. Like anytime I know a book, anytime a book makes me want to stay up late, for one, because I don't stay up late, is a good sign. Like if I want to, like, if I don't want to put it down, like that is a good sign that this book is going to be like one that I'm obsessed with. And Also, just like anytime that I feel like connected to the characters, like they are real people, I feel like that's another like thing that makes me feel like it's gonna be 5 stars. I don't know, maybe it won't be, but that's just kind of the feeling I'm getting right now. So we have 3 packages, so we're gonna open all of them now. And the first one, oh my gosh! Ah! Yes, it's Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, and I'm so excited for this one. Oh my gosh. So I got the original cover. I wanted it to match all the other books that I own because I own all the original Magnolia Park's books, like with the original cover, and this one literally matches. So I had to get this one, and I actually think that this next package might be the same thing. I don't know if I ordered it twice. Yes, I literally ordered this twice. Oh my God, I'm shook. Guys, I'm actually shook. How, like who am I right now? Like I own 2 of these. I did not mean to do this on purpose. What I probably did is I probably pre-ordered this, and then I probably ordered this when I saw it like linked somewhere, and I probably didn't realize that it was a book I had already ordered. I want to make sure that like neither of these is signed, and they're not. So yeah, I probably just, over like me being excited about them, that's probably what happened. And then this last book is actually kind of a wild card and one that's very out of the blue, but I want to do a video reading books that I loved as a kid. And I picked up Alice Alone by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. Now this is actually not in good condition, like at all. I knew that it was a used book, but I remember reading this as a kid and loving it so much. I kind of wanted to do a reread, but after I ordered this, I realized that this book is actually part of a series, and this is like middle of the book, so I don't even know if I would remember like what the book is about. So I might actually put this into a free little library. I'm not 100% sure, but I love this series so freaking much. Maybe I'll buy the first book and then like see how I feel about it. But yeah, so that's the little book haul of the books that I ended up getting. This is the cover close up of how it looks. These are literally such thick books. And then this is the book Alice Alone that I was showing you guys by the author that I was obsessed with as a kid. And I think I'm going to end up donating this one because, again, I did not know that this was like part of a series, like not the first book. But I also think that I might put one of these into a free library too, and I'll just have to maybe get the rest of the series with it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I have 2 of these now. Got my salad and stuff together. I ended up not putting fruit in it just because, I don't know, I just didn't really want to cut it up, to be honest. I just threw in tomatoes, croutons, pecans, feta cheese, smoked sausage, and onions, I think, that are in it, and that is it. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna finish eating, but we're gonna go like read outside because it is such a nice day. And I just feel like this is giving outdoor vibes because like the pink cover and everything. I don't know, I just really wanna read outside. So we're gonna eat and then go read outside. Finish up the night by walking and then like walk home. I think I'm gonna make steak for dinner. Guys, I cannot get these characters out of my head. I can't get them out of my head. I'm like thinking about them like they're real. Like every moment that I have to stop reading to like do something else, I'm literally itching to get back into the story. And I feel like these, like I feel like I'm watching a movie, like, or a TV series or something, which is the best feeling, and it doesn't happen to me often. You guys know there aren't too many series where I get like obsessed with the characters in a sense that I want to like look up like aesthetics on TikTok and like look and visualize the characters on Pinterest. Like that just doesn't happen to me very often. So I'm really, really, really loving this book so far. I'm hoping that once I get home, after I make steak and stuff, that I can like really sit down and just get through like a big chunk of the book because I'm just itching to like read more. Today's been like so busy, and one thing that I've been trying to do more is get more steps in. and move more, because obviously working from home, I work in the confines of my own home, so I'm like not walking a ton. And I think that that's pretty traditional for like people who work in an office space and stuff. You don't walk a ton, and I think one thing that I want to do more this year is like walk, and walk not even just for like my health's sake, but just walk just to like, I don't know, listen to music that I like or audiobooks, just to like be in nature, that kind of thing. So we're gonna walk a little bit and then head home and then read some more. One thing I literally cannot wait for is summer. I feel like the closer it gets, like I'm literally wearing shorts out here. Do I need to wear shorts? No, I definitely don't. Like there's still snow on the ground, but there's something about me, I'm gonna wear some shorts. Like the minute it gets to be, I think it's like 40 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, the minute it gets to be that, I'm in some shorts. And I'm probably the only one who's like that. And I've always been like that, even since I was a kid. I think it's because my parents kept our house really cool. So, yeah, I don't know. I just have always really been a shorts girl. But I think that that's also nice for me, because living in the Midwest, it obviously gets cold. And if I'm wearing shorts in the winter, like obviously I run fairly warm. So I can't even imagine what it would be like if I lived in like Texas or something and it like is hot all the time. Like I think that I feel like I would like it, but in reality I think I would hate it, because I run so warm that I would just be even hot in the wintertime. I just got to page 160, and it is so beautiful how Kennedy Ryan is like really making this book about like learning to love yourself and like be like fine on your own and stuff. And I feel like you don't see that very often in books. I'm at the part where Soledad, she is like doing something for herself. It's on page 160. I don't want to like really spoil anything for anyone who like obviously hasn't read it, but there needs to be more of this in books, like solo dating and like taking time for yourself, and like even if you're a mom, like learning to love your time alone, like things like that. I feel like just don't happen enough in books, and I feel like if it was more normalized, like when we saw it more often in books, it wouldn't be like weird. Like recently this year and this last year, I started like solo dating and like doing things alone and like finding the joy in that. And I think one time I was sharing with like one of my friends, I was like, yeah, I like, you know, have went to a restaurant by myself before, and I like ordered food on my own and all that. And I have done that at nice restaurants and like, you know, mediocre restaurants, whatever. And so many people are like, oh, I could never do that. And I feel like the more we normalize it, especially in books, the more it'll just like be something that's common. I think it's so needed. So anyway, I'm loving this part. I just got to page 229, and wow, like the autism representation in this book is just top tier. I feel like you don't see it enough. Like I feel like whenever we think of autism, just like, or it's displayed in the media, I guess I wouldn't say like the way we think of it, but the way it's displayed in the media is so like one-dimensional. And I feel like Kennedy Ryan is really showing that like autism looks so different for so many different people. And I love that she is also like touching on how like sometimes it's hard to figure out if you're autistic until you're like older, and how like it wasn't something that people were really like figuring out at like, I don't know, in the early, I don't know, I guess say 2000s. Like I don't know the time frame of this book, but I feel like that's the time frame is like current, and like the people that they're talking about like would have been like probably early 2000s that they're like trying to figure these things out. And I also really think that it's cool that Kennedy Ryan is pulling from her own personal experience, but also like it says in the book that she has a son who has autism, but she also like asked a bunch of other people who have children with autism, and she wanted to get an accurate perspective of like what it's like in their life, even though she has her own experience. Like she could have easily just pulled from her own experience, but she's like, it looks so different for everyone. So I just think that that is so cool. And I also think that like authors don't always do that kind of research, like especially if you've experienced something. It would be so easy for her to be like, well, this is my experience with a son who has autism, and like I'm gonna share that. But she's like sharing that, but she's also sharing like layers and layers of like other experiences like on top of that. And I think that that's just like, oh, she's such a great writer. I just got to page 230 and I think that this is my favorite part of the whole book, like so far. I mean, I feel like we've been getting crumbs, like absolute crumbs from the MMC and FMC, so like the female main character and the main male character, which I think is intriguing because it's like keeping me invested, because I want to like keep coming back and like, you know, seeing like when are we gonna get more of them together. And this part, oh my god. Okay, so on and Kenny Ryan has actually already shared this quote on her Instagram, so like I wouldn't say that it's a spoiler because she put it like on an Instagram reel. But where are we at? Let's see, what does he say? Okay, so he goes, don't get me wrong, I love sex. I'm not saying I've only had it with like their ex like partner, but I was married to them for over a decade. Before that, I was usually in a committed relationship. Well, I guess it's a trust thing. Is there anything more intimate? And I don't trust easily. And then she goes, and you're saying you trust me? And he goes, I'm saying, he replies, dragging his thumb over my ear, down the curve of my jaw and over my lips, that when I F you, it will mean something to me. Oh my gosh. I'm screaming. You definitely want to go into this book just like really knowing that there's going to be a lot of focus on self-love. And I think that this book, like in this book, Kenny Ryan actually references All About Love by Bell Hooks. And I've never read that book, but like now I really want to. And I think that this book is like almost a love letter to one's self in a way, because there's so much talk about self-love. Like Soledad, she decides to write a me list, and it's like a list of things that she wants to do for herself and for herself only. And I think that that is the coolest concept. Like, I don't know how she came up with that, but like now I want to make one. Like, wouldn't it be cool to just like see people making like a ton of me lists after this book? I just think that that's like the coolest thing. But I'm on page 253, and it's like at the bottom where they're talking about the me list. And I think it's cool whenever I can read books where I can take away something from it, even if it's like a romance or like, I don't know, a thriller, or like something you wouldn't normally think that you would take away something from. Like, I feel like finishing, like once I finish this book, I'm going to take away so much from it where I'm like, I want to incorporate this in my life, or I really like this thought. And I want to like, you know, a book is good when you want to go back through and like start like underlining and like quoting things and stuff. And I already want to do that. Like, I already want to read this again and like, I don't know, find the gems that are in here and like really like put them on my wall or my mirror or whatever, because the way that Soledad is like building herself back up from the ground, like from nothing, from being with someone who like absolutely degrades her and just like treats her terribly, and then she comes from that to like needing to be alone and like build herself up. Like all these things are just, this is literally just a book about self-discovery, and I think that it's like such a beautiful thing. I take it back. I think that this is my favorite part, whenever they go out to the garage, and whoo, y'all, I'm on page 261. The way that the main male character not only speaks to Soledad, but like asks her permission for like the ability to love her. Like, he's respecting her boundaries so much. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I love a soft man, But what I love even more than like a soft man is a man who is soft because he knows that's what like the character needs. Like he knows that like she needs someone that is gonna like just be gentle with her because she's like been through so much, and I feel like he's showing up for her in the ways that he knows that she needs, and that right there is the hottest thing ever. But y'all, like I kid you not, have been getting crumbs this whole book, and so I've just kind of been like, when are we gonna see them like together, or when are we gonna see them like make moves on each other? Like when are we gonna see something? Like I'm itching to like. And I feel like this isn't like a slow burn, but like kind of, like it kind of is. And it's not going to be one of those books where they like get together super fast. Like you're seeing the progression of their friendship turned feelings, turned like all the things. And whew, it's hot. Oh my God, it's hot. And like when he asked her, like, oh my God, I don't even want to spoil like anything, but he is very intentional about asking her what she wants. Like asking her like instead of being like, do this or do that, he's like, can I? Or like, is this okay? And like, oh my God, we need more of that books. I just got to 273 and I feel like this whole part has been so hard, but this one in particular, I literally gasped. Like literally gasped. I almost wish I had the camera on because I was like what? And sometimes I like leave the camera on, but then sometimes I don't because I just like, I don't know, want to pick it up when I like feel inspired to like share like how I'm feeling. But literally gasp at this page because the audacity of this man is wild. Like the absolute audacity is crazy. And I think that if you are someone who maybe you have children with someone that you're not with anymore, and like there's a part in the book where Soledad is pretty much like, all of us as women have loved someone who didn't deserve it, whether it's our dads, whether it is like a partner, whether it is like a friend, like whatever, like we've loved a man who has not deserved that love, like most of us, not like every single person on the planet. But that's so true because I feel like there are people who just would like to take advantage of our love, and we can be so giving even when we know that they don't deserve that love. And I feel like this book is great if you're someone who has maybe a partner in your life who you're not with anymore, and like you're having to see them just like in a different light, and you're having to still communicate with them. Like that has to be so hard. And I don't know, I feel like Kennedy Ryan is doing such a great job of like showing what it's like, especially with children, to have to like keep someone in your life even when you don't want them in your life. And wow, this like, moms are just so selfless in general, but like there's a part in this book where I think it was like a page or two before where Soledad is talking about how she's like balancing like time for herself and what she knows she needs for herself, but then also she is having to give like her children what they need, which might not be the same thing that she needs. And both two things are like valid. And like I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to like spoil anything, but this book is such a great book of like self-discovery and loving yourself and like figuring out things when they're hard. Like, oh, this is such a good book. I love this book so much. I'm on page 277, and I genuinely feel like this book is like something that everyone needs to read. It's just so good. And there's a part where Judah, he goes, my sons are in a good place, generally besides the usual speed bumps. And he says like his ex-wife is happy, which is important to him too. And then he goes, but what about me? I hadn't thought much about being happy for years. It felt like a luxury, something I'd never get for myself. I've been thinking about it lately though. Like how often is it that like we as adults are thinking of like everyone else but ourselves? Like thinking like, you know, okay, let me like do this to help make my mom happy, or do this to like help make my kids happy, or do this to help make my partner happy, or ex-partner, or like whatever. And how often do we actually think about ourselves and think about ourselves first? I feel like that quote like really sums up this book so well, because this book is like really challenging that thought. It's challenging the like we only have one life, and why are we putting everyone else above ourselves first? Like, I just feel like this book is so for like self-discovery and self-love journey. Like, I mean, it's a romance, obviously. Like, there's so much beauty in the female main character and main male character, and like both of them, and like their journey together, but also there's so much beauty in their separate journey. And gosh, this book is just so good. I just got done reading in Wealthy Juice, which I love going there just because I feel like they have just like a nice atmosphere. But what is wild is, as I was leaving, I like walked past a lady who was like so cute, and she was like sitting at this table like with someone in a laptop, and you know what, literally none of those details matter. And I walked out and she was like, I'm looking forward to seeing your photos. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm assuming she's like one of the friendships who like hangs out somewhere on the internet. And I just feel so grateful for all of you guys whenever you like come up and say hi or whatever, but I get so awkward. Like, I never know what to say or how to respond or whatever. Like, last night I went to Pilates, and I walked in and I was like a little late, and I was like, so sorry. And the instructor, she was like, oh, like, we were actually just talking about you, how you're like a local like hometown celebrity. And I was like, please stop, please stop. I am like so awkward, and I'm just like, oh, thank you so much, thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna go to my reformer now. Like, I don't know how to handle myself when I like meet someone who like hangs out with me online and then like we meet in person. I just don't know how to handle myself. But anyway, I was reading in there and I didn't want to like disturb anybody, so I just kind of bookmarked the parts that really stood out to me. On page 280, well, there's actually a couple of parts that stood out to me. So on page 280, where was it? Okay. On page 280, whenever the main female character and main male character are together, it says, or he wrote, when she's in my arms, in my house with me, for her to be crying over this piece of crap, it lights a new fire in me, one I'm not sure I've experienced before. There's a bright blue flame at its center, and I think this must be what jealousy feels like. The way that Kennedy Ryan writes just feels like I can feel those feelings, and I love that. I also just think that like she's doing such a good job of showing the raw emotions of these characters. I don't know, I love it. And there's another part on 281 where she's like trying to open up to the guy that she like kind of has feelings for, but she's like also feeling other feelings of like, not sadness that like something else is ending, but more like trying to figure out how it's all going to work together. And I feel like Kennedy Ryan is doing a great job of like showing how sometimes even when you want one thing, like it doesn't work out exactly how you want it to, like in your head. And I don't know, just this whole book, I feel like I've marked up so many parts in this with these little like tabs, but like I haven't written anything in it. But I really want to annotate this book because I feel like this whole book could easily just be completely annotated. There's another part where, let's see, she wrote on 281, she said, I was so afraid of losing a life that wasn't serving me well, just because I wasn't sure what else there was. I feel like that is such a beautiful quote, because I feel like sometimes we sit in things that we know aren't for us, but we're afraid of what's on the other side, you know, like we're afraid of like, you know, if it doesn't work out, this thing that we're going to try, like what if we let go of the other thing that may not be as great, but at least it's something, whether it's a relationship or a job or friendship or whatever. And I just think that that quote like really stood out to me. I was so afraid of losing a life that wasn't serving me well just because I wasn't sure what else there was. Like, wow. There's so many good quotes in this book. And then on 304, I feel like I've read like pretty quickly. Just this book, I'm just speeding through it. But on 304, and I didn't like mark any of these, so I'm trying to like go through and just like look through and see like the parts that stood out to me. Let's see, what was the part? Oh, this part is when Yasmin and Soledad and Hendrix are all together and they're just like laughing. And I was like reading this literally laughing myself because it made me feel like what it feels like when you're hanging around like your close friends. And Hendrix goes, priorities, spill, Sol, like to Soledad. And she was like explaining something that happened in the book. And she was like, well, he was distraught after, you know, this. And then she goes, and you said, I know what'll make me feel better. Hendrix says, imitating my high-pitched voice, his dick. Like, that's not like make me think of, or make you think of like just laughing with your friends and like, you know, just like people being goofy and silly. And I feel like Kennedy Ryan is doing such a good job of like encapsulating all of that, like friendship, love, family, finding yourself. Like, this book is so good. Now, if someone were to ask me, is this better than Before I Let Go? That's a hard question because Before I Let Go, which is the first book before this one, and it's Yasmin's story. Before I Let Go, I feel like is almost a totally different story. Like, Before I Let Go it has similar themes, but like this book is so in tune with like finding yourself and being okay being by yourself. And I feel like Yasmin, when we came to her story, she kind of had already found herself. And so she was kind of putting back the pieces together from something that like hurt her, and she's like healing in that way. But I feel like she was always very independent. Like she was very much like fine on her own, whereas Soledad was very dependent on her partner. And she realized how much her partner belittled her. So I think that this is just a totally different story. It's hard to even like compare the two because they're so different. But on the back of this book, she actually adds a little like section for, it's like discussion questions for a reading group. I think that this would be the perfect book for a book club. Like, perfect book. And I hope that this gets picked up by like Reese Witherspoon's book club or something like that, because this book is so like, it's raw, it's real, it's messy, but messy in the way that like life is messy. It's not perfect. It's so good. But I think I'm gonna go home, shower, and then finish this, and then give you guys like the rundown of like how I feel, my ratings, and everything. Let's talk about this book. So this book gave me everything I needed it to give and more. Initially, when I first started this book, I feel like it's super fast paced and you get into it because there is a plot line that I feel like I haven't seen in any other romance, at least that I've read recently. So it really kept me like hooked. Towards the middle, I feel like I wasn't really sure if we were gonna go towards the romance route or like where we were gonna go. And I feel like it leaned really like deeply into the self-love journey, which was like so good, like so good. I feel like there needs to be more books with like self-love journeys within them because I ate it up. And maybe because I have like been in my own like self-love journey over the last few years and like learning to do things on my own and like, you know, find love within myself, not from any other external factors like my husband or friends or whatever. And you can really see her doing that, and you can see Soledad picking herself up and just like doing the dang thing. And then the end. So I do think that if you like slow burns, you'll really like this. I don't know if I'd say this is a slow burn because I feel like people who like truly like slow burns, like this isn't probably slow enough, but it felt slow to me. Like their first kiss, I think was like it was like in the 200s. And so I feel like with the book being almost 400 pages, having it be about halfway through, and then I feel like a lot of books, like after the first kiss, it's like, just like they're together pretty much. And this book was not like that. It was so realistic, so good, so freaking good. Like there were just, this would be the perfect book for a book club. There were so many themes outside of the romance. I feel like if you like literary fiction, you will really like this book because it has a heavy plot of romance, but also there's a very, very heavy plot of like family, finding yourself, and all of those things that I think, I don't know, I feel like people when they look to read literary fiction, they want to read a book where they are like left with something, where they feel like they've learned something from it, and I feel like this book definitely is that. So this book is 5 stars for me. You guys know, I'm a harsh rater, like very harsh when it comes to books. And it's not even because like, it's not because I like want to be mean or anything. It's just like I read so many books. Like by the end of this month, I'll probably have read like 16 or 17. And I feel like I read so many books. So there's just a lot of like mediocre books. Like there's nothing wrong with that. That's just like the way it is. But the books that stand out to me, the books that make me want to like, just like look through it again and like tab it and write like underline quotes and tell you guys quotes, put quotes on my refrigerator and on my mirror. Those are the books that I deem 5 stars. And one thing about my ratings for 5 stars is the book has to be a book that I want to read again. Like I have rated Fast by Millie Belazar 4.5 stars because that book was so heart-wrenching, so good, and I would not want to read it again. I feel like I got everything I need to get from that book. Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Absolutely love that book. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Obsessed with it. Like so good. But for me to rate something 5 stars, I have to want to read it again. And again, I felt like I got everything I needed to get from that book. This book, there's so much more in this book. I feel like if I went through this book again, I would find so many more things that I didn't see the first time, which is like the beauty of an incredible book because it's like an endless amount of like joy that can be found within it, and I really enjoyed it. Also, I think it's cool that there are actually parts. So it says like part 1 and like this says part 2. So it kind of breaks up her life into different segments, and I thought that that was really neat. And this book I think is told over the span of like a little over a year, like a year and a half. And I love books like that because it's not like rushed. It doesn't feel like insta love. It was everything. I cannot wait for the 3rd book. I think the 3rd and final book of this series. It's Hendrik's story. And in the back of this, there's like recipes. In the back, there's also discussion questions. Just so many gems. I cannot tell you enough. Go buy this book. It comes out, I think, March 5th. So it's actually really soon, but you are gonna love this. And if you haven't read Before I Let Go, read that one first. But this book is so good. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. The next video that's coming is gonna be one you guys are gonna absolutely love. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.